Well, I've got to say that week 2 in the US has highlighted a few very interesting things when it comes to our solar business, because our plan is very soon to be launching what we do with DCI Industries here in the US. And so this morning I had the ability to sit down with a senior accountant and understand some tax strategies, some business planning, some setup planning that we're going to need to consider over here. And I'm starting to realize that there might be a reason, it doesn't explain all of it, but at least partial reason as to why a solar and inverter grid connect system in Australia that would cost, let's say, $10,000 is going to cost you $40,000 to $50,000 US here in the United States. And I couldn't work out why, but it has become a little more apparent. The way the accountant explained it to me, and I think this is a great analogy, is that the US is primarily 50 different countries that operate under one federal system. And the federal system only has limited, ability to combine those 50 different countries. So you literally have to get a foreign workers or a foreign corporation permit or exemption or whatever the paperwork is called to do business in other states. So if I'm based here in this state and I want to work in the state adjacent to me, I would need to get a foreign corporation license to work this business in that state. And I need that for every state that I interact with. And then every state has a different determination of what that interaction looks like and what the tax implications of that are. In some states, if we build our SIAB systems here and send them to another state, then there is not a tax implication for the box, but there is for the installation labor. Other states will tax you, so you get taxed in the state that you sell it into, but you're also taxed in the state that you make the money in, so you get taxed in both states. So some states will tax based on the entire cost, not just the installation side. Some states will tax you and consider that you are doing work in that state and therefore have a tax obligation if you so much as advertise in their state. So it is quite a different arrangement to what I am used to coming from Australia. But this is why you spend the time to actually talk to lots of people, get advice, and go to people who know the intricacies more than I do. My job is to piece together the best people to be able to run the business. But with this level of compliance and this level of complexity between states, it does make having a business more expensive from what I can see on the outset than what it would in Australia. It's likely to cost us, even at a startup level, into the $5,000 to $10,000 a year just between the accountants and the lawyers, whereas in Australia you could run that same business operation for probably $2,000 to $3,000 a year. And so there is going to be, obviously there are other elements, there are other licensing requirements that we still need to dig into, but this is why spending the time to build the roadmap and plan for a business is so critical rather than just diving into it. The US is a little different to Australia. Australia has so many layers, rules and processes that you just can't get from one point to the next without going through that part. You can't just start a business, you can't just get a license. It's sort of this step-by-step process and you kind of can't go too far wrong as long as you just follow the steps. The US is much more a case of come in and do what you like. However, if you mess up, we are going to fine you massive amounts of money if we see that you've made a mistake. But there's very little guidance on how to actually go through that process. And so the way you do that is that you go to professionals to help them set up, even setting a company up. I can do it for $100 online, but then I would have missed certain compliance elements. And then there is one particular form that if I miss that, we are looking at a $25,000 fine plus $5,000 per month past that due date if this particular form is not filed every year. And it's just a one-page form, means almost nothing, but has massive fines attached to it. And so if you miss that, you could sink your business before you start just in fines. And so while it's really exciting to see there is so much opportunity for our SIAB systems and the off-grid solar here in the US, there is also a lot to have to set up before we get going. So we are going to be launching not a pre-sale, but a register your interest campaign here in the US soon from Australia, just to see what kind of real world interest that we get. So if you know anyone who is interested in off-grid solar here in the US, irrelevant of what state they're in, there will be stuff popping up on the website soon, and especially on the Facebook page and YouTube channel, that if you're interested, you can go to a link, register your interest, tell us about what you or what the person's interested in when it comes to off-grid solar, get an idea of what they're after. We'll probably take a phone call conversation with them and just talk through what we're doing, because it's going to take a bit of education to do what we're doing in Australia here in the US. It's way less common here, so it's going to need more education. But going through that process, if we find that we do have quite a bit of interest, then it will help us to speed up the implementation of the business and the processes over here. I'm already reaching out to contractors for fabrication, for electrical, for assembly. We're reaching out to contractors and to companies for distribution. And so over the next few weeks, it's going to get very, very interesting and very exciting to see what we can piece together. I've got a few weeks here, so let's see if we can get all the pieces put together, ready to go. And then it's just compliance, licensing, and paying certain agencies certain amounts of money to be able to get set up, and we should be good to go. So watch this space. Hopefully, we'll be building SIAB off-grid systems in the US by early 2025.